I've known polygamists who wouldn't even stay with his wife on her birthday.
The house is quiet, almost too quiet. The kind of silence that presses in from all sides. Cody leans against the kitchen counter, eyes tracing the rim of his glass, lost in thought. Across from him, Robyn sits at the table, hands folded, her expression careful. There is no yelling, no dramatic scene, just the weight of unspoken words filling every corner. You can feel it in the air, tension so thick it almost hurts. How do you survive when the life you believed in disappears? That question hangs between them, heavier than anything either has said aloud. For years, the family had been a vision, a dream built on the foundation of plural marriage. Shared homes, shared responsibilities, shared everything. Now, that vision lies scattered. The sprawling Coyote Pass land, once meant to be a symbol of unity, is gone, sold off lot by lot, its promise reduced to numbers in a closing statement. Robyn's eyes wander across the kitchen, over the space that was supposed to be home, and she feels the pull of loss. The life she signed up for, the one she believed in, the structure that had always guided her decisions, has shifted under her feet. She feels unmoored. Cody watches her, trying to bridge the distance with quiet words, but each phrase seems to land softly and then drift away, unanswered. "Are you happy?" he asks, the question gentle but urgent. Not just about today, not just about the house or the money or the land. He wants to know if she is content with the life they now lead, the one stripped down from the sprawling family to just the two of them. Robyn pauses, tracing a finger along the edge of her cup. Most days, she finally says, but even as the words leave her mouth, she knows they are not enough. Most days hide the truth of longing, of identity unfulfilled, of a marriage stretched tight under the strain of past choices. The tension is not loud, but it is everywhere. Every glance, every pause, every careful word carries it. Cody retreats into the garage later that evening, the sound of his tools echoing in the vast space, a sanctuary built from steel and wood where he can control something tangible, anything, while the rest of life spins uncontrollably. Robyn notices the pattern immediately, the way he buries himself in the noise of machinery and the order of projects, rather than facing the quiet desperation in her eyes. She wonders if the silence between them is temporary or permanent, if the distance is something they can repair, or if it has already stretched too far. The house that once felt full now echoes with absence. Empty rooms remind them of what has been lost, what was supposed to be a shared dream. Robyn shifts in her chair, the ache of isolation settling in. She is loyal, supportive, and committed, but loyalty does not erase doubt. She wants to believe, to trust, to hold on to what remains. Yet the cracks are visible. The unspoken pressures, the weight of expectations, the lingering guilt from past decisions, they all converge here. In these quiet moments, in the space between a husband and wife, trying to survive what once felt unbreakable. And as they sit together, the wind rattling the windows of Flagstaff in the dark, there is a sense that this is only the beginning. The choices that led to this quiet tension, the land sold, the family fractured, the money divided, they are still rippling outward, waiting to collide with what is left. Robyn's internal struggle is clear, visible in the way she hesitates to speak, the way she measures each word. Cody's attempt to lead, to guide, to fix what can be fixed is palpable, but he cannot repair the past with presence alone. The room is full, yet empty. The life they believed in has shifted, leaving them to find a fragile balance. How do you survive when the foundation itself has crumbled, leaving only echoes of what was supposed to be home? The echoes of the past weeks still linger in the Flagstaff house, each room carrying the weight of decisions made long before. Coyote Pass, once a promise of unity, now exists only in memory, and in the signed papers that divided the land among the ex-wives. The sprawling lots that were meant to hold family homes and laughter now stand empty, their dream reduced to numbers in a spreadsheet, transactions completed and irreversible. Robyn sits quietly at the edge of the living room couch, staring at the closed folder that held the final dispersal. Her fingers trace the edge of the leather binding, almost as if touching it could bring back what has been lost. You think fairness is enough? Wait until you see the fallout. Robyn reflects on the months of tension, the arguments, the late-night discussions with Cody, the quiet decisions made without her full understanding. She wanted to trust, she wanted to believe in the fairness of it all, but every signature, every deal has left invisible scars. Cody had tried to balance the interests of Mary, Christine, and Janelle, making choices that he believed were just, but intention does not erase perception. Each ex-wife has her own story of loss, resentment, and bitterness. And in the middle of it all, Robyn feels the emotional weight pressing down on her. She trusted him, stood by him, and now watches as the consequences ripple outward, testing the very foundation of what remains between them. The house feels too quiet, too open, a stark contrast to the bustling chaos that once filled it. Cody, pacing through the kitchen, seems consumed by his own regrets. Leadership in this family was never simple. Every decision carries moral and emotional consequences, and no one bears that weight heavier than him. He moves from room to room, glancing at pictures of the children, reminders of what was gained and what was lost. Robyn watches, a subtle tension threading between them. Even in moments of calm, the air is heavy with unspoken doubts. Every plan, every promise, every attempt at fairness has collided with reality, leaving a landscape littered with fractured trust. Robyn speaks quietly in her confessional, eyes distant, voice trembling. I believed in what we had, in the family we were building. I wanted it to last. But now I wonder if loyalty alone can keep us together. If standing by him is enough when the world around us is falling apart. Cody's attempts to fix what can be fixed feel sincere, yet they cannot erase the damage. The psychological toll shows in their silences, the careful measures of words, the glances that carry more meaning than conversation could. And so the family moves forward, scattered, but still connected by threads of past choices. Each action taken, each decision made, has left its mark. The land has been sold, the money distributed, yet the emotional cost is far higher. Trust is fragile. Bonds are strained. And Robyn, standing at the edge of her own understanding, realizes that surviving this collapse will require more than fairness or apologies. It will demand presence, honesty, and constant attention to the life that remains. Even in the spacious Flagstaff home, Cody is hard to reach. The garage has become his sanctuary, a place where time slows and the weight of decisions can be ignored, if only for a little while. The sound of metal clinking, engines revving softly, and the occasional hum of a power tool fills the air while the rest of the house remains silent. Outside, Robyn moves through the rooms alone, noting the untouched dishes on the counter, the half-read letters stacked neatly by the window. Proximity does not equal connection, and she feels it in every quiet corner, every empty seat across from her at the table. She calls out his name, a small attempt at normalcy, but the only answer is the faint echo from the garage door. Cody's retreat isn't angry or confrontational. There are no slammed doors or sharp words. It is quiet, calculated solitude. He polishes a chrome bumper, organizes tools, checks bolts on his collection of cars. Each precise movement offers a sense of control that reality at home does not. Here, he can fix, adjust, and complete. The chaos of emotions, the unresolved tensions with the ex-wives, the unspoken questions from Robyn, they all remain outside, waiting. Robyn watches from the doorway sometimes, umbrella in hand during a rare rain, coffee forgotten on the counter. She can see him absorbed, yet unreachable. And just when you think he's back, the walls rise again. There's a strange rhythm to this isolation. Cody disappears for hours, sometimes entire evenings, leaving Robyn to navigate the silence. She walks the large, empty rooms, sometimes laughing quietly at a note from a child, a memory of chaos that feels distant now. The brief moments of humor remind her she's still alive in this emotional storm, that not every corner has to feel heavy. But the weight returns quickly. The garage is more than a workspace. It is a metaphor, a barrier, a wall built not from bricks but from avoidance. And Robyn, despite being close, feels miles away from the man she married. Cody sometimes emerges, hair tousled, hands darkened with grease, offering a small smile, a casual "everything okay?" to test the waters. Robyn nods, forcing herself to return the smile, to bridge the gap that has grown silently. Her confessional reveals the tension she keeps tucked beneath calm words. "I know he's here," she says, voice quiet, almost breaking. "But sometimes it feels like I'm living with a stranger. We share the same house, the same life, but not the same connection. And it's exhausting trying to reach someone who isn't fully here." The contrast between them is stark. Cody finds peace in tangible things he can fix. Robyn navigates the intangible storm of emotions he cannot or will not face. Their life together continues under the same roof, yet separated by invisible walls of solitude. Every knock on the garage door, every gentle attempt to reconnect, feels like testing the limits of a fragile truce between presence and absence. The isolation doesn't just affect them individually, it casts a shadow over the entire home, a lingering tension that cannot be ignored. Even in this quiet, heavy tension, moments of small absurdity appear: a misplaced tool, a stubborn bolt, a spilled cup of coffee. But they are fleeting. They remind Robyn that life goes on, even as the emotional distance stretches. The garage remains his escape hatch, a world within the world, while she learns that love and loyalty cannot survive on proximity alone. And as she watches him from the doorway, she wonders if this withdrawal will ever end, or if the walls between them are here to stay. The air in the Flagstaff kitchen feels thick, heavier than usual. Robyn sets the final Coyote Pass documents on the counter, her fingers tracing the numbers slowly, deliberately. Cody leans against the island, eyes tired, hands gripping a glass of water. "We divided everything equally," he says, trying for calm. "Everyone gets their share." Robyn looks up at him, voice steady but edged with something sharper than anger. "Equal on paper, yes," she says. "But fairness isn't just numbers. You know that. You always said you'd handle the finances, that I could trust your lead. And now, people still feel cheated." Her words land like stones, each one echoing off the high ceilings. She isn't accusing, not yet, but she is measuring. Every choice he made, every decision that left some of the ex-wives frustrated, passes through her mind. Cody exhales, running a hand through his curls. "I was trying to make it work for everyone," he says. "I thought this would balance things out. I wanted to avoid conflict." Robyn shakes her head slowly, frustration building. "Trying isn't enough, Cody. Intentions don't fix what people see, and sometimes what you think is fair isn't how it feels to others. You left me in a position of defending decisions I barely understood. That's what makes trust so fragile." She steps closer, voice softening but firm. "I pushed for fairness every time I could. I fought for Mary's share. I made sure no one got shortchanged. But your decisions carried the weight, and now it's my responsibility to explain and justify them. Do you see what that feels like?" Cody swallows, guilt washing over him. He opens his mouth to explain, but Robyn cuts in, eyes locking with his. "Stop talking for a minute. Hear me. Hear how hard this is from my side. The silence stretches between them, a reminder that trust isn't automatic. It must be rebuilt, piece by piece, and every misstep leaves a crack. Cody knows this, feels it in the quiet thrum of his heartbeat. Robyn's confession reveals more than frustration, it exposes a moral conflict. She believes in loyalty, in standing by him, yet she cannot ignore fairness. She cannot ignore the ethical weight of what happened to the family's money, or how decisions were perceived by others. Cody finally nods, voice low, admitting the truth he's avoided. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I thought I was doing the right thing. Robyn exhales slowly, her gaze drifting to the large windows overlooking the pines. Right or not, the question is, can trust survive this? Can it even be repaired now? The words hang, unanswered, leaving both of them staring at the distance between them. A gulf built not of absence, but of broken transparency. Cody grips the steering wheel tightly as he drives toward Janelle's home, the tension inside him almost visible. Each mile feels heavier than the last. He rehearses his words silently, trying to balance accountability with honesty. One apology changes nothing. Or does it? The thought gnaws at him. Every decision he made, every choice he took for the family, now circles back like a storm. And he is standing alone in the eye of it. Janelle opens the door, cautious, her arms crossed. Cody steps in, voice low at first, almost trembling. I wanted to say I'm sorry, he begins, listing moments where his actions hurt, where his anger or stubbornness caused rifts. Janelle's eyes narrow, unreadable. She listens, sometimes nodding, sometimes silent, and with every pause, Cody feels the weight of leadership pressing down harder. He realizes that leading a family is not about control. It is about carrying the consequences of each choice, the emotional fallout, and the quiet resentment that never fully disappears. By the time he leaves Janelle's home, some tension has lifted, but it is uneven. The apology is accepted in part, but trust is fragile, fractured by history. Cody barely has time to process before he faces Christine. The moment is more complicated. Christine has moved forward, remarried, yet the old wounds remain. Cody's voice cracks as he acknowledges past mistakes, the decisions that betrayed trust, the emotional chaos left in the wake of his attempts to keep the family unified. Christine responds with measured calm, forgiveness tempered by realism. The exchange is civil, but Cody feels the limits of his authority and the isolation of his position. Driving away from her house, he stares out the window, replaying every conversation, every silent glance, every half-smile of reluctant acceptance. Leadership, he understands, carries consequences that numbers and agreements cannot fix. Every choice ripples through people's lives, and while he intended to hold the family together, he feels the fractures widening under his own weight. The emotional cost is staggering. Later, Cody arrives at Mary's home, the last stop of this grueling apology tour. Her reception is cool, guarded. Every word he speaks is weighed against years of tension and perceived slights. Even as he tries to make amends, he realizes that his presence alone cannot undo the past. Mary's walls are high, her expressions measured, and Cody is left wondering whether accountability is enough when the emotional ledger is so complex. By the end of the day, he returns home exhausted, the setting sun casting long shadows across the Flagstaff property. His shoulders are heavy, not from the miles driven, but from the weight of being the one responsible for decisions, for fairness, for family cohesion. Every apology delivered, every regret confessed, brings clarity but also reminds him how fragile relationships remain. Leadership has a cost beyond authority. It is the burden of hearts and trust that may never fully heal. Cody steps back through the Flagstaff door, shoulders slumped, a storm of emotions still swirling inside. Each apology delivered to Janelle, Christine, and Mary feels like a small step forward, yet a shadow of doubt lingers. Some words landed softly, brushed off with quiet acceptance. Others hit walls built over years of frustration, mistrust, and lingering resentment. He realizes that reconciliation is messy, uneven, and far from guaranteed. Robyn watches from the kitchen doorway, silent but attentive. She has endured the fallout quietly for years, the loyal anchor holding steady while Cody navigates turbulent waters with the others. She knows the weight of the apologies he carries, but she also feels the distance between them widening, a subtle reminder that being present physically does not always translate to emotional connection. Her hands rest on the counter, gripping the edge as she absorbs the tension, her mind replaying the long history of decisions, compromises, and sacrifices. And here's where it gets messy. Cody tries to explain a misstep from years ago to Mary, attempting to soften the impact, to frame it as oversight rather than malice. But Mary's reaction is sharp, immediate, cutting through his careful words. "I've heard enough," she says, her voice steady but firm, a wall Cody cannot scale. His heart sinks, knowing that even the sincerest apologies cannot erase the pain or the perception of favoritism. Some bridges, he understands now, will take time, if they can be rebuilt at all. Meanwhile, Robyn retreats to the living room, her thoughts heavy. She reflects on how her role has shifted over the years, from active participant in the plural family to observer of its collapse, and now the silent supporter of Cody's journey to seek forgiveness. She carries her own questions, doubts about fairness and loyalty, but her presence provides stability. She watches Cody struggle, knowing that his actions, however well-intentioned, have consequences that ripple beyond himself. Cody's final visit to Christine is cautious, almost reverent. Her calm composure hides the history between them, the moments of hurt and disappointment that cannot be swept away with a single apology. They speak, carefully, navigating past grievances. But the air remains taut with tension. The conversations illuminate the complexity of repairing fractured bonds, how words alone cannot rebuild trust that has been worn thin over time. By the time he returns home, dusk has settled over Flagstaff. The house is quiet, the tension lingering like a faint echo. Robyn sits beside him, a steady presence amid the chaos, and together they face the realization that apologies are not cures. Forgiveness is not guaranteed. Some wounds remain raw, some bridges may never fully close, and the path forward requires constant effort, presence, and accountability. The fractures of the family linger in every glance, every pause, every unspoken thought. The engines roar across the dusty trails outside Flagstaff, the afternoon sun casting long shadows over the sprawling property. Cody pushes the a little faster than he should, eager to escape the weight of the day, to find a moment of control in a life that feels increasingly unpredictable. Then, a sharp turn, uneven ground, and suddenly the vehicle tips, sliding violently to the side. Dust explodes into the air, and for a heart-stopping second, everything feels suspended. Robyn's scream cuts through the chaos, sharp and raw. "Cody." Her voice trembles as she leaps from her own UTV, rushing to his side, panic gripping her. He groans, scraping himself free from the fallen vehicle, blood streaking his arm, but he waves her off. "I'm fine," he gasps, adrenaline masking the pain. Yet the near accident isn't just physical. It mirrors the fragility of their lives, the instability of a family that once seemed unshakable. The UTV rests at an awkward angle, tipped and unstable, just like the marriage and trust they've been trying to preserve. One wrong move, one overlooked detail, and everything threatens to flip. Robyn kneels beside him, hands trembling as she checks for injuries, her eyes wide with fear and something heavier, an unspoken understanding of how easily everything could unravel. "We have to be careful," she whispers, not just about the trails, but about the fragile threads holding their lives together. She looks past the V at the empty rooms of their home, grand and polished, yet echoing with absence. The space is immense, but warmth feels scarce, the kind of emptiness no furniture or luxury can fill. It is a house built from sacrifice, yet the emotional landscape within feels barren. As they walk back, Cody supports her, and she catches his gaze. "We've survived so much," he says, voice low, laced with vulnerability. "But could one misstep destroy what's left?" Robyn doesn't answer immediately. She steps into the large kitchen, letting her eyes drift across the polished counters. The silent rooms that once held laughter of children now scattered, each corner a reminder of what the plural family used to be. She touches the edge of the table, a small anchor, a gesture of grounding. "I hope not," she finally replies, her voice soft but firm. The accident, the empty halls, even the vast Flagstaff property, all become symbols of the cost of choices, of leadership, of fractured trust. Cody's escape into movement, Robyn's quiet reflection, these moments reveal the stark reality: stability is fragile, presence matters more than grand gestures, and one lapse could echo far beyond the immediate moment. As dusk settles, the property is quiet, the UTVs parked, but tension lingers. The physical and emotional landscapes intertwine, a reminder that every decision, every action, carries weight far beyond the visible. Robyn sits alone in the softly lit confessional room, the weight of the day pressing down on her shoulders. Her eyes are red-rimmed, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "Sometimes I wonder who I am anymore," she confesses quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I believed in this family, in plural marriage, in the life we were building. And now, it's just Cody and me, and I'm not sure that's enough." She pauses, staring at the camera, letting the words hang in the air. The honesty is raw, almost painful. She isn't angry. Not exactly. She's exhausted from being the quiet stabilizer, the one who steps in, smooths the cracks, and carries the emotional load no one else seems to notice. Later that evening in the kitchen of their sprawling Flagstaff home, Robyn moves with quiet precision, preparing a simple dinner. Cody drifts in from the garage, hands still smelling faintly of oil and sawdust. "Did you call the realtor back yet?" he asks casually, but there's a tension beneath the words. Robyn pauses, putting down the knife she's been using, her eyes lifting to meet his. "I did," she says carefully. "Everything is on track, but some things don't feel right. You know what I mean?" Cody shrugs, brushing it off with a tired smile, but Robyn notices the small ways he avoids looking her in the eye, the tiny hesitations that have become routine. She takes a deep breath and continues. "We've been through so much, and I've tried to stay steady. For us, for the family, for everyone else. But sometimes I wonder if staying strong is enough." Her words are gentle, yet they carry the weight of years of loyalty, sacrifices, and silent endurance. Cody shifts uncomfortably, caught between frustration and guilt. Small disagreements, barely noticeable to anyone else, bubble up. A forgotten task, a curt reply, a shrug that feels like avoidance. They sting more than overt arguments ever did. Robyn glances around the house, empty rooms echoing faintly with the past. She thinks of the children, the ex-wives, the Coyote Pass land sold off piece by piece. She thinks of fairness, of trying to maintain her moral compass in a world of complex choices and fractured relationships. And she wonders, quietly, how much longer she can keep holding everything together without losing herself in the process. "I have stayed strong," she whispers to herself, "but for how long?" The question lingers, unanswered, a subtle tremor in the calm surface of her life. The camera captures her face, composed yet reflective, the true emotional anchor, in a family that is still learning the cost of collapse. Robyn scrolls through her phone. the glow from the screen illuminating her face in the dim living room. Comments, posts, messages, everyone has an opinion. Some are sympathetic, others sharp, cutting remarks about fairness, loyalty, and who truly benefited from the Coyote Pass sale. Her stomach tightens as she reads a thread questioning whether she had any say in the finances at all. Do people even realize what it's like to live this? She mutters under her breath. Cody leans against the doorway, watching her quietly, sensing her tension, but unsure how to help. Fans online dissect every move, every conversation, every pause. Social media becomes a mirror, reflecting not just public judgment, but amplified insecurities. Robyn knows that these reactions are unavoidable, that opinions will always collide with reality. She sighs, scrolling past posts accusing her of favoritism, posts defending her, posts blaming Cody entirely. You think fairness is enough? Wait until you see the fallout, she thinks, shaking her head. Even her carefully measured words in interviews get twisted, becoming another point of debate. Every post, every tweet, every comment feels like a ripple across an already fragile pond. The family feels it too. Cody notices the tension creeping into the household, small remarks from ex-wives turning sharper, subtle mistrust in glances. Robyn notices his face tighten when someone mentions money or past decisions online. She knows the digital chatter is influencing the real-life atmosphere at home. A casual comment about the Flagstaff mansion or a sarcastic meme about Coyote Pass can ignite conversations, arguments, and doubts that linger long after screens are turned off. It is a constant undercurrent, a pressure that makes private matters public before they can be fully processed. And then there are the direct messages, private but loaded with assumptions. Friends, acquaintances, even distant fans reach out with advice or judgment, each one assuming the whole story. Robyn reads one particularly sharp critique. It accuses her of standing idly while Cody made the decisions. Her fingers hover over the keyboard, wanting to reply, to defend, to explain. But she stops. She knows that any response could escalate the situation, that the opinions of strangers could never fully reflect reality. The weight of it is exhausting, more than she expected when the cameras first arrived. Public perception becomes another layer in their already complex lives. A constant reminder that choices have consequences far beyond the walls of the home. Robyn glances at Cody, their eyes meeting briefly across the room, a silent acknowledgement that the world is watching. And while they try to navigate these reactions privately, one truth remains clear. Public opinion isn't waiting for answers. The comments, the memes, the heated threads, they will continue, relentless and unforgiving, leaving the couple to face their emotional fallout alone. How do you protect what's left of a family when everyone else believes they already know the story? The house is quiet. Evening shadows stretch across the living room, soft light reflecting off the polished floors. Cody sits on the couch, Robyn beside him, their hands brushing but not fully intertwined. Words aren't needed yet. The silence carries its own weight. After everything, the land sold, the ex-wives scattered, the months of tension and apologies, they are left alone in the stillness, the surviving center of a fractured world. Robyn leans back, eyes tracing the ceiling as if searching for answers that aren't there. Cody exhales slowly, feeling the burden of all the decisions he carried, all the mistakes he made. They talk in fragments, careful and measured. The conversation flits between memories, regrets, and quiet admissions. I never wanted anyone to feel cheated, Robyn whispers, voice breaking slightly, and yet it feels like that's all that matters out there. Cody nods, understanding that his attempts at fairness, his apologies, his leadership, all have left echoes that will linger far longer than either of them expected. The house, grand and empty, mirrors the complexity of their emotions. It is both shelter and reminder of what they've lost. Tension rises subtly, unspoken yet palpable. Small disagreements flare, a misplaced document, a hesitated word, and for a moment, the calm shatters. They pause, realizing that even within this surviving marriage, the cost of past choices remains. Trust can be mended, but the weight of history does not vanish overnight. Every glance, every silence is loaded with memory. Cody knows he cannot erase the past, and Robyn knows she must navigate her own internal struggle alongside the life they now share. As the night stretches on, they sit together yet apart, the air thick with reflection. Each has endured pain, frustration, and disillusionment. Yet in this quiet, they also see glimpses of resilience, the fragile threads of connection that remain. The collapse of the plural family is complete, but in its aftermath, the surviving marriage stands, tested and raw, a reminder that love and loyalty require constant presence, honesty, and effort. And now the question lingers, heavy and unresolved. Who truly holds the power in this family? Cody, Robyn, or the ghosts of decisions past? The answer isn't simple, and the story is far from over. I want to hear your thoughts. Comment below, tell me who you think holds the real power, and let's see how this family's journey continues together.